it is Julie. Welcome back to Pages and Pens. Today I am here with my best and worst of 2017. Now, midway through this year, I did film a best and worst of the year to date. I'm going to quickly run over those books, but I will link it up above so you can check out that video and find out more about those books. I'm just going to tell you the titles of my favorites and my least favorites from back then, and then I'm going to go over the last 6 months as well. Today's only the 20th, but I don't anticipate being able to finish too much through the end of the year because things get really crazy for me. So we're going to assume that there's not going to be any more favorites, but we'll just have to wait and see, I suppose. The best books of 2017 up until July were The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, which you guys all know is phenomenal and still tops my list for the year. Also, Lady Midnight, and I'm going to be adding Lord of Shadows to that as well. Just spoiler alert for the second half of the year because I really am loving the Dark Artifices series by Cassandra Clare. And just so you know, yes, I really do think that you have to read the rest of the books before you get to those, but they're amazing. I really do love them. Then the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson I talked about in my first video. Also The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli, as well as Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Shauna McGuire. I have read Beneath the Sugar Sky, which will make my list for 2017, but since it doesn't technically come out until 2018, I'm not going to put it on until next year, but I read it this year. But I'm not going to add it because you guys can't read it. Also, at the beginning of the year was Assassin's Blade, which I loved. It's my favorite of the Throne of Glass series, and it is the prequel novellas. And Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir, as well as The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. All amazing reads from the first half of the year. Now I'm going to get into my favorites from the second half of the year, and I have the majority of them in front of me. Some of them I don't have. Let's go into my favorites for the second half of the year. Stargirl by Jerry Spinelli got a full 5 stars. This is about a girl named Stargirl who goes from being homeschooled to going to a public school, and she is just the Luna Lovegood to the Luna Lovegood degree, and she's precious and amazing and wonderful, and obviously the kids at the high school don't really understand her level of preciousness and just how she deals with that. And it's short, but it's gorgeous and I love it. So that, all of that. Also have The Language of Thorns, which is up there by Leigh Bardugo. So this is a set of fairy tales that are set in the Grishaverse, but you do not need to read the Siege and Storm, Ruin and Rising, Grisha trilogy. You don't have to read that first. You don't have to read Six of Crows or Crooked Kingdom. There's one character who makes an appearance in this from the Grisha trilogy, but it's not something that's going to detract from the stories. These are really gorgeous. The illustrations in here are stunning. I really loved this collection, and I suggest everybody give it a read. The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, which I really did enjoy, aside from like one use of a word that I did not enjoy, but it's in some books and not in others, so some editions have been edited out. I don't know, but this one was a really enjoyable contemporary love, hate to love, like work romance kind of a situation. So for contemporary, not bad. Enjoyed it. I'm also putting in A Torch Against the Night, which is the sequel, the second book in the Ember in the Ashes trilogy. And I listened to that in audiobook, so I don't have a physical copy, but it was amazing. Sabaa Tahir is a genius, and I cannot wait for the third book. I'm just so impressed with that series. I also have the Daughter of Smoke and Bone series, as well as A Night of Cake and Puppets. I only pulled this one out. The rest they're back here. But I loved this novella, and I loved this trilogy. Laini Taylor's writing, this was the first that I had read Laini Taylor, and her writing is just so whimsical and so beautiful. And The Daughter of Smoke and Bone is a fantasy set in Prague about a girl who, I mean, I feel like it's better off not knowing, but there's these portals to different realms and wishes, and it's so good. It's so good. This one follows Susanna and Mick, who are humans that are just kind of like in this fantastical world, but the entire series and Laini Taylor's writing in general is gorgeous. And then I pulled out this book, which is just a stand-in for the entire series, but this is the Deanna Madden series by A.R. Torrey. This is The Girl in 6E, Do Not Disturb, and then If You Dare. Yes. And this one is about a girl named Deanna Madden, who is a homicidal cam girl, so she stays locked in her apartment to avoid murdering people and works as a cam girl to get money. And in book 1, she's kind of forced to leave her apartment to potentially save somebody who she feels like one of her clients is like potentially going to go harm someone, so she leaves to try to stop that from happening. Book 2, she's kind of like, well, I left once, maybe I can leave again. She shouldn't be pushing those boundaries. Book 3 is kind of like a culmination of everything, and I really, really love the psychology in this. It's like a thriller I can definitely get behind, and I am super, super, super about this series, so I ended up really loving this series. Such a great read, one of my favorite series that I read this year. Super stoked on it. I'm also going to speak about the Sweep series. This is by Kate Tiernan. This is a YA series centered around witches, and I love everything witchy, and I really enjoyed this. So these are really short. This is book 1. I have a bind up of like, I think books 5 through 7 or 4 through 7. So I read some of these in physical copy and then some of them in audiobook. I haven't finished the series. I think there's like 15 of them, but again, they're so short you can read through them in no time. It's a really fun, really good series. It's, you know, nothing's phenomenal, but it's like such an easy, enjoyable read. I ended up really, really, really liking these. And then I have a sequel that made to the list, and it is Our Dark Duet by Victoria Schwab. This is the end of the Monsters of Verity duology, first one being This Savage Song. And this one is about a girl named Katie Harker, who is a human in a world full of monsters, and August, who is a monster in a world where humans are killing people, and there's this kind of like battle between territories, and their friendship that kind of blossoms as they try to navigate this world. Kate is trying to become more ruthless to impress her father. August is trying to be more human, and the story just kind of continues from the first book, and I thought it was a fantastic wrap up to the series, and I really, really loved it. It was a series that I was really excited about. The first book was actually an Owl Crate book, and it was my introduction to Victoria Schwab. Since then, I've read V.E. Schwab's Shade of Magic series, the first 2 books, and these are the only ones that I've read by her so far, and I'm looking forward to reading more because I really, really have been enjoying her writing. I will also add The Smell of Other People's Houses by Bonnie Sue Hitchcock. This is a gorgeous, heartbreaking tale of a town in Alaska. The kids, it follows like a couple different characters and how they interact with one another, and I thought that it was a little bit difficult to get into for a short book. I think I was probably like around page 50 before it really started to like grip me, and then I was all in. All of these kids are really interwoven, all of their stories really tied together. I thought they would tie together beautifully, and it was just such a poignant tale, and I ended up bawling my eyes out. Also bawled my eyes out at Stargirl, so a lot of tears, but really, really, really good books. Not pictured here is the I Hate Fairyland series. I've only read volumes 1, 2, and 3, but they're all really, really good. I love them for graphic novels if you're looking for a graphic novel. I also have Lair of Dreams on here by Libba Bray, which is the second of the Diviner series. I haven't read book 3, and I read book 2 in audiobook, so I don't have a physical copy, but I'll put up a cover. And that is like a haunting tale. This Diviner series is definitely dark, especially the audiobooks can be like a little bit eerie to listen to, but I love them so, so much. So that was definitely a highlight for the second part of my year as well. Now we're going to jump into some of the bad ones. Honorable mentions for the first part of the year were Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, not a fan. Dare Me by Megan Abbott. Shiver series by Maggie Stiefvater. That Summer by Sarah Dessen. How to Be Bad. How to Be Bad was by like a combination of authors. E. Lockhart, a couple other people. And then the All for the Game series by Nora Sakovic. Complete garbage. Garbage. Hated them all. Then for the second half of the year, we had A List of Cages by Robin Rowe, which I found incredibly problematic and just poorly executed. Even though the premise was decent, the execution was really, really crappy. I've since unhauled it. Not a fan. Also Ugly Girls by Lindsay Hunter, which had a rape that went undiscussed. It was a girl-on-boy rape, and it was never discussed, never addressed. A really, really unhealthy friendship. Just in general, it was just such a horrible book. I really, really disliked it. In A Dark, Dark Wood by Ruth Ware, I just thought that this was a thriller that was executed really poorly. It was like a D-rate, not even B-rate horror movie where like the characters just did everything you knew they shouldn't do and it didn't make sense, it wasn't logical, and it didn't come together well even though the premise was kind of there. Did not follow through for me, was not a fan. The Next Together by Lauren James, mainly because I went into it thinking it was one thing and it ended up being another, and it ended up being like a dimensional time travel kind of a situation that I was not down for. It's not my genre, not my thing. Was not a fan. I also have The Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han, which I found to be incredibly problematic, and I know it's an older book, so that's not necessarily something that you wouldn't anticipate, but definitely did not enjoy that. The same with Fools Rush In by Kristen Higgins. Again, very, very problematic. You've got a girl who is a medical doctor, a genius, very smart girl, who, to get the guy, ends up having a very unhealthy relationship with food and exercise, and has to lose weight to get the guy, and stalks a guy, and there's nothing wrong with that because all girls stalk guys, right? Like, it's just beyond problematic, not a fan. Also had a number of DNFs this year, especially towards the end of the year, including Brooding YA Hero, which I loathed. I also DNF Wild Beauty by someone. And I DNF'd Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng, which hurt my heart because I really do like Celeste Ng's writing, and even this one, I liked her writing. It's just the subject matter did not do anything for me. Wild Beauty was by Anna Marie McLemore, and I could not get through that one. I had to DNF. I'll also throw in Ellen Hopkins. I was not a fan of Ellen Hopkins. I listen to the audiobook, so it's not even that it's kind of written in verse. That didn't even bother me. I just really didn't enjoy the stories, and Identical in particular, I just found problematic and weird. Like, it's not my thing. She's not my thing. So those are my 2017 favorite and least favorite books for the second half of the year. I'd love to know what yours are, so comment them down below. That's everything for this video. If you liked it, be sure to give me a big thumbs up, click subscribe, and I will see all of you in my next video. Bye, guys.